What's going on, you guys? It's Professor Crow. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Today we're talking about, reacting to Patrick Bet Davis, who has been a successful businessman. He's got a $70 million net worth or so, which does not necessarily mean we should take his advice, but it does mean that he's been able to accomplish things and been organized enough and determined enough and smart enough to at least build and accomplish that on the financial scoreboard. But he's got one of the more popular podcasts today. I listen to snippets of his podcast from time to time. I really enjoy his perspective. I would say out of, you know, all the people online, he's probably in my top 10 in regards to just, I like his worldview. Okay. Not even necessarily from a Christian perspective, although he does seem to favor Christianity, and I think he considers himself a Christian. Um, but just overall, business, politics, in life in general, he seems to have a interesting perspective on things. So I like to listen when he talks. He's got a lot of wisdom, if you ask me. So today he said something that I have never heard any Christians say, or at least I've never heard spoke over the pulpit, I don't believe, in all my 15 years of going to church. So I think it's worth echoing and discussing this topic.
Wrong people are having too many kids, the right people are having too few kids. Why? Because we have to be financially perfect. Everything needs to be right for us to have a kid. And we're going to have 2 kids and that's it. Why? Is it because you can't afford it? No, we can
I'm guilty. I'm already convicted.
afford it. So why is it successful financial people that make a lot of money, you don't want to have more than, well, because we have.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even want to have one kid because I just feel like, man, this world's so evil. Like it's going to be so much more evil if by the time, in my prediction, by the time my kid gets old enough to even, have to deal with it. However, now after having a kid who is now 7 years old, so being a parent for 7 years, I've realized I was wrong, man. God has equipped me to prepare my kid, protect my kid, and prepare my kid for whatever they may deal with in life. God's word and God's spirit is not afraid of or incapable of helping his people through any time in history, especially now. And so, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. He, instead, the first commandment was be fruitful and multiply. And after watching my son for 7 years, I look at him and say, wow, like this is the kind of kid that the world needs, that could change the world, And so, man, I'm convicted, and I agree with what he's saying.
To also enjoy ourselves. Oh, okay, I got you.
Selfish.
So guess what? Then don't bitch and complain when you're competition. If you're so concerned
Sorry for the language.
about what Muslims are doing, if you're so upset at what Mormons are doing, why don't you compete? Why don't you change your MO and
because they're having a lot of kids.
start saying, hey, Christians, we need to start having more kids. And the number starts with 4. Start having 4 kids. What happens if you start talking like that in about 30 years? Next thing you know, the Christian number is going to go from 1.7, 1.9, 3.9, 4.3. Great. Because if you don't.
Business people thinking in a lot of times in numbers, right? I like to say sometimes I'm a numbers guy. I'm a business owner myself. I definitely don't have a $70 million net worth, but I've owned a few different businesses, started a few different businesses, and I've been in the real estate business for 10 years now. But I say all that to say, it's interesting because a lot of Christians like get intimidated when you start talking about numbers, or some people can be so try to position themselves to sound so pious. Oh, I want to sound more pious than y'all to make me seem like I'm more holier, and for some reason, and so, but we should think at times in a sense of numbers, right? It's always quality over quantity, but still, like, I want to reach as many people as I can. You should want to win as many souls as you can and disciple as many people as you can. And And whether that's 5 or 2 or 3 or 5 million, hey, great. Do it with all your heart unto the Lord. Doesn't make you any less in the kingdom than anybody else, but you should try to reach as many people as you can and be grateful for whatever increase or whatever kind of harvest you get that goes for, um, you know, soul winning discipleship and all that. But he's just talking strictly on a Christian population basis, which is really interesting. Let's keep going. I have some more thoughts.
Do it, Christians. If you're so worried, in about 30, 40 years, half the Senate's going to be Muslims. Congress people are going to be Muslims, not because they're...
Can you imagine that? And that is not an unrealistic projection at all. Look around. When you're at the mall, when you're at the park, when you're in the city, some people who are from the rural country, they may be like, well, what's he talking about? Go to the city, go to the inner cities, go to Dallas-Fort Worth, go to Houston, go to New York, New Jersey, places like that. Go in the gas stations.
Trying to take over the world. Their job is to baptize, just like your job is to baptize, but
he's saying they're not trying to take over the world. I disagree. I believe they are trying to take over the world.
Coward, you just want to have 2 kids. They understand legacy and protecting their, what they want to do with their faith. They're having 6 kids. So stop complaining. Either do something about it or stop complaining. You have to compete. Wrong people having too many.
You have to compete. Okay, so a couple thoughts. I'm reminded of an Elon Musk interview where he said something very similar. When he says, he doesn't say it about Christians, right? But he says, Americans are in trouble if we don't start having more kids. And I can't recall, his whole logic behind it, but then I can contrast that to a person like a Bill Gates, who has gone on record, he himself, this is not made up, gone on record, he himself saying that he is concerned that if we don't healthcare enough people, the population is going to grow too rapidly. So there are people who think too much of a population is a problem or should be a concern. I call these people or of the persuasion of population control, right? I call that population control. They want to try to control the population, right? Think about your local dog catchers or the dog pound. Like, they're always wanting you to come and neuter and spay your pets because they're trying to control the animal population. Of Bill Gates is very invested in wanting to control the human population. Don't take my word for it. You can find numerous videos where he himself, out of his mouth, admits that through certain healthcare procedures, he wants to help with the noble, in his mind, noble deed of, or he wants you to think it's a noble cause of controlling the population. Well, if you're a Christian, let me remind you the first commandment again. If you forgot, I said it 3 seconds ago. Be fruitful and multiply. Now, what Patrick Bet David is not considering here as well is, yes, Christians, we should do this. Yes, this should be a conversation. I do wish this was preached over the pulpit even more, because I don't think I've ever heard this kind of talk said. I have heard good things about Christians should adopt. If every church would have at least one family adopt, then I think we could eliminate orphans in the world. I believe that's how that works out. Yeah, feel free to fact check me in the comment section, y'all. I enjoy you guys' engagement. With that being said, also, before I finish, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I've got numerous videos. We're going to continue to put these out, and I hope you guys are enjoying them. They're just going to get better as we go, as long as you guys engage and give me your feedback. But so the thing that Pat Bet David is not considering, I don't think, is, or at least discussing in this clip, is that we are going to multiply even if we don't have kids, which we should. We should very much be breeding like rabbits, being fruitful and multiplying, but and competing, like he said. But we are winning converts, and that is another way we multiply, is by sharing our faith and making disciples. What is making a disciple? Well, it's teaching someone what Jesus taught his disciples in such a way that they can make a disciple themselves, that they can teach another disciple. And so that's how we multiply, that's how we add, and that's how we grow and spread. So, I believe the Christian church is going to continue to thrive regardless, because it's a God thing. It's a spirit backed thing, and so I believe God accomplishes His purposes regardless of the opposition. And so, anyways, comment below. Let me guys know. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. I think it's really interesting. You've got China, I believe, limits families in regards to how many kids they can have. What are your thoughts on that? I think that's ridiculous. I think that's crazy. And I think a lot of stuff that Chinese government does is completely ridiculous and crazy. But, I'm on the side of, hey, if you can't tell, yeah, having kids is a good thing. And so the one thing we haven't yet discussed about this topic is, like, if you don't, people feel like, oh, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough energy or time or whatever, man. Like, kids are a blessing, man. They're helpful. So when they're younger, yes, they require more attention, but as they get older, they're going to take care. As you get older and they get older, they're going to take care of you one day. And sadly, one day we're going to need somebody to take care of us. And so not all your kids are going to want to do that. And so hopefully you got more than one or two, so you can have some help. And so you can spread your worldview and have your impact and more of an influence on this world. And I think that's the point Patrick Bet David is making, and it's a great point. So you guys stay tuned, hit the notifications bell so y'all can see my next videos. I got some great ones coming.